Hello and welcome to the Marathon Community Podcast, Episode 1.
Woo!
Ooh.
Let's go!
This week we got Paul Tassi joining the show. Paul, why is Bungie always stealing from the division?
That's a good question. I've been saying this for years, so.
Oh, this is good. This is good.
Mylan joining us as well. Mylan, extraction shooter, super duper, or stick it in your pooper?
Why not both?
Yeah, all right.
Sounds like a good night to me.
And Miss 5,000 watts without a camera? Miss 5,000 watts, lipstick writing. Is it the next big thing, or has Burt's Bees finally gone too far?
Stick it in the pooper.
All right. All right. What do we want to start with tonight? Marathon or the final shape
gotta talk about
or
The season, there's
Okay,
so,
so here's the
there's
thing.
so many
there's so
things.
much, right? Yeah, too much,
I feel
Bungie.
like
Relax.
I feel like Marathon eclipsed Final Shape because new IP, new
Yeah.
announcement. Like, I feel like Marathon's going to be up there. We talk about first.
I wasn't
Please.
expecting anything, and then they have two things. Like,
I know.
Yeah,
right?
good point.
did not see that coming.
And that transition they did from the marathon announcement into the final shape, I was like, okay, that looks a little bit like the Destiny load up logo. That looks
I
so
thought it was going to
strange.
be a cinematic for like the Destiny mobile game that is like rumored to be in the works. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
my
they're going to
goodness.
finally reveal the mobile game, and nope, it's a Final Shape trailer 9 months early. So
Crazy.
Actually,
Hmm.
shouldn't we start with the nut bush?
Okay.
Yes.
After we harassed developer Chris, who came on the podcast, we said we need a nutbush emote, and he said, "I'll try." I said, "No, we need more than I'll try. There is no try. You do."
You know what was funny
Actually,
is that we were like, yeah, we want a nutbush emo, and Chris was like, okay. And we were like, I think he's joking. I don't
Nope.
think he's very serious.
Nope,
In
he
like
did
the
it.
Discord DM we had.
But then
yeah.
it was
and
like 2 weeks ago. We're like, it's been a while since he said he was going to do the nut bush. And then
And they were
boom.
like, Chris, you liar,
long
you
it take?
heathen. And then they're like, yeah, there it is.
Oh, never mind. Here it is.
yeah, and I mean, crazily, yeah, Tina Turner died like the day they released the Nutbush as well.
Yeah, that's very sad.
And for those who don't know, who aren't Australian, the Nutbush is like ingrained in Australian genetics because every kid learns it in school. And people think I'm lying about this, but every time Tina Turner's City Limits comes on, you do the Nutbush, and people think I'm joking. But I have video proof, which I posted today. Here is my dad at
You
my
better show us
brother's
Papa going
wedding.
in.
At my brother's wedding,
For audio listeners,
dancing to the
watch
Nutbush.
the YouTube video because you
You're
gotta
gonna have to
see
watch
the Nutbush.
YouTube or go to
You
me,
gotta
go
watch
to me
it.
Twitter for the sounds. Nutbush is playing right now, so it's a line dance. See if you can spot my dad.
Is he in the white dress? He's killing it. Just absolutely rocking it.
Look at him go.
That
He's
should be an
zooming on his
instructional video.
It's every wedding. It's every pub. It's every wedding. Yeah, so it's cool to have it in the game as well now. So support an
And-
Australian and Tina Turner.
Yeah, it was. I get why they saved it for this because they called it like the Down Under dance. And down under the sea, like, I get it. I see what you're doing there.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
okay.
I see what's going on.
Mhm.
I can't prove Ben Platnick made the touch grass emote for me, but he did say he was going to. So I don't know. That may have been a more general meme, but
Beautiful.
So sorry to derail, but yes, back
No
to
sweat.
Marathon.
So they dropped the marathon. What would you call this? An announcement trailer? Would that be a fair statement of what we saw?
cinematic
Yeah.
announcement trailer, yeah.
Yeah,
And
this is what they've been. This is one of the games they've been working on, right?
there was also a vid doc that they kind of explained what we were looking at a little bit. So this is going to be an extraction shooter made by
Mhm.
Bungie.
Yep.
And it's got a
EDP.
very cool futuristic style. It's based on the Marathon franchise. They didn't. I don't
Well-
think they made much note of whether it's going to tie in to the old games. Those were Bungie's Mac games back in the
Kind
day.
of did in
They,
the Q&A.
they said it wasn't a
yeah.
prequel or a sequel. but it's
Okay.
in the universe.
It's
Is
in
it-
the same universe.
I'm wondering maybe it's like how like Titanfall exists, but also no, I can't remember the name of their game.
Apex.
Yeah, Apex like exists in that universe. I wonder if it's gonna be like something like
A
that.
little bit like that, I think. So I already have all the lore kids coming out and telling me about Marathon lore, and like the planet that it takes place on already has a bit of history, and like alien races invading them and wiping them out and stuff like that. So I think it's sort of just taking that setting and using it.
They
Yeah.
said it's
so
not a sequel and it's not a remake. So
Yeah.
like I think they're using the universe, but it's not like this is Marathon, following the events of the original.
Right.
Like it's not
And
like
Yeah.
that.
they've been very specific about how they're gonna have like lore and story tie-ins with the extraction
Massive.
shooter. So the Vidoc was kind of like the baby version of the Q&A that they did on the
Yeah.
Bungie blog, because the Q&A went into a bit more details about some stuff. So yeah, it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel, it's not a remake. It's in the same universe, and you're going to be able to unlock lore, and you're going to be able to change the way that the world kind of opens up. They're going to have world's first stuff in
Yeah, I
the
can't wait to see
so-
what that is. What is that gonna be?
And
Well,
you're
they
collecting
gave,
like
like, an
alien
They kind of
artifacts.
listed it. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like you get an
Yeah,
alien artifact. It's like the world's first team to use the artifact to unlock a new part of the map. And like
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
not really a raid race per se, but like a
Yeah.
being first at something.
Yeah.
But I guess that concept is like what got me very excited. Is there's like that kind of language. It feels exciting in like a PvP mode. So I'm like really quite keen to see how that plays out. Like whether it's going to be accidental, like someone will just discover it and it'll be like that sort of classic Bungie. Hey guys, I found this. I don't know what to do with it. And then the
Oh, like somebody posts on
community works
Reddit
together.
and like raid secrets, and then
Yeah.
like kind of
Random taken
Yeah.
blade on IO.
or if it's
yeah.
gonna be like an announcement, or I mean, I imagine it's probably more like an ARG thing, like something
You
will
know
happen in
what,
the world. I guess like Fortnite does
Have
that,
you
don't they?
have you seen the ARG they're doing right now? Like,
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
I saw the
Mylan-
original one for the
No, no,
Vidoc.
no.
I haven't
Mylan,
seen.
you should read it. The one they have right now is dumping out, I would say, 50 pages of lore of the new game into
Wait, really?
a Google Doc. Yeah. I was gonna write about it
Violence
tomorrow.
like,
Let me
uh-oh.
let me put the
Oh, fuck.
well, you got the
Like,
next
maybe
couple
I
of months.
don't wanna-
Can I please just play a PvP game without
Mylan.
reading 50 goddamn
Yeah.
pages?
I just
Mylan, no.
DM'd you the link, Mylan. It's
You are
enormous.
stuck.
So like
You are
there is
stuck in the
some
lore.
new. I didn't know about this either, but like Bungie community reached out to me and they're like, "Why aren't you covering the ARG?" I'm like, "The one that's over." And they're like, "No, there's another ARG." And I'm like, "I haven't heard of this." So
Wow.
I've been tracking it, and it's like this enormous. I don't even know how they're solving this or what's going on, but like the end result is a lot of lore that's being dumped out, and like
You know,
conversations and propaganda posters, and like it's a whole thing.
They have the
Oh.
best community for doing some like out there crazy in-depth puzzle
Yeah.
stuff, because they
Yeah.
solved it so fast yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that is exciting is the Vidoc really went heavy on players creating the stories in the game.
Yes.
And that was part of this whole idea that it's not just you having your own personal stories like, hey, I had a really good game and I like extracted and got this loot, etc., which is kind of what happens with extraction games. You have very like memorable moments in them because they're often pretty like tough and brutal. But the idea of you changing the world and the environment interaction, which is, what Bungie is really good at. And it's interesting to have that in a PvP setting. So like that's definitely going to set them apart from other games. And we know Bungie can make a great first person shooter. We know they can make great environments. We know they're really good at environmental storytelling. So it's going to be interesting to see that in a PvP setting where you typically wouldn't have that level of, I don't know, player interaction.
It was interesting.
Yeah,
Paul,
because it's like
Paul and
it's like a
Watts,
hero
you both said
shooter.
that they didn't never actually said this is an FPS, right? Like we just assume it
Yeah.
is.
No.
Yeah, it's true.
They did
Yeah.
not say that outright. I would
have
be
not.
floored if it was not
Yeah.
an FPS,
Exactly.
like given everything. But yeah, I guess they never did say that explicitly.
Same.
The only thing I can think of is like it is a game where like you're customizing your hero. I'm sure there's going to be cosmetic microtransactions and like,
Mhm.
but
Massively,
yeah, that doesn't like mandate that you're you have a third person view, obviously, like with Destiny or Overwatch or Apex or any of those other games. So
Talking about like what Mylan said before about how, is it going to be for the world's first stuff? Is it going to be on our ARG? Are they going to say that like this new puzzle out? Is it going to be random? I think it'd be cool if they do a bit of both. And if they did a thing
Yeah.
where they announce that there's like, hey, there's a secret in this area of the map, and then that makes for a short period a bunch of people just rushing to that part of the map. That could actually be a really interesting way to switch up the way the game naturally plays, to kind of drop those really intense, like
Yeah.
everyone's scrambling to one location for a bit to fight for
I think
world's
they'll
first.
do.
Would be really cool.
Yeah, I think they'll do something like Escape from Tarkov, where they just started dropping like bosses in the game that never were there before, and then the bosses just start wrecking everyone. Then all of a sudden, you get this like YouTube and Reddit frenzy, like, oh my god, this weird boss is like here, and then they have like probably a chance to spawn a key, right? So then you all of a sudden you've got this alien boss that now has spawned in, changing the environment. Everyone's gonna rush in, like, oh my god, we got to farm this boss, even get a key from it. Bang.
Is there going to be
race is on, done
PVE?
deal.
Is there going to be PVE
Yes.
stuff in there? There is. Oh, okay.
There's
There
AI.
is-
There's
there's
AI.
AI.
Okay, there's
There's
AI,
AI.
but there's no like PVE mode. But there
Yeah,
will
yeah.
be some AI
Okay.
combatants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think it's super exciting to have Bungie solely focus on a PvP game. There is no
Yes.
campaign. It's a PvP game. It's got dedicated servers. They spoke about that. They spoke about the anti-cheat needs to be really robust, because these games are in even
Plagued
more
with cheaters.
yeah, because of I guess the economy with these kind of games and how brutal they
Yeah.
can be when they get a lot of cheaters in them. It's profitable for people to cheat to like boost accounts, and it feels even worse if you've ever played any game like Tarkov and you have cheaters. Like, when the risks are so high, it feels even worse with the cheaters in it compared to like a PvP match in Destiny, where it's like you just lose time. Like, oh, that's you
You
just
don't
feel
even
upset
have
that
to
you
run
got
into a cheater
10
to make
minutes.
a game's experience ruined by cheaters too. Like once you have the knowledge that there are cheaters in this game, like that
True.
knowledge then will taint your play session to be like, well, was that person cheating? I'm just going to assume because they killed
true.
me in a way that I feel was like kind of ridiculous that they were cheating, and then I'm going to be upset
Yeah.
that I was playing a cheater.
Yeah, and all the benefits of having a game that like the extraction shooter genre that has all these risks associated with it means that like things like connection and anti-cheat becomes even more important. Like in Destiny, if you get killed by lag, like whatever, you just respawn. In this game, when you get killed by lag and lose your gear, like you start slamming, smashing your keyboard. Like, so it's like this genre lives and dies by connection and anti-cheat. So I'm glad that that's like at the top of their like list.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff that they're coming out right away with that they're doing right. They're being like, anti-cheat's really important, dedicated servers, leaderboards, all that kind of stuff is awesome. They're
Yeah.
setting up like the world and the lore. The only thing that I'm like, so when I was reading all of this, I'm like, this is great, because they mentioned like the PvP stuff, and they mentioned being a Bungie game is guns feeling good. But they mentioned it like once in the article, and the rest was like world building and your story and all of that. And I was like, all of this is great. And like when the game is ready to come out, I'm super invested in all this. But when you're just showing me a brand new PvP game, the most important thing to me is how it's going to feel and how it's going to play out, which they can't show us yet.
Yeah.
So my kind of biggest questions are, like, how is the gunplay going to feel? I really hope that they've learned from what's really good in Destiny and try to keep what's good in Destiny and good in Halo, and then iterate on that. And then I'm hoping that they don't have the mindset of like, this needs to be so different to Destiny because Destiny already exists. So we're going to like ignore all the good stuff in Destiny and kind of do our
Yeah.
own thing.
That would be bad.
It's we don't
It's
know
actually
who's in control of the actual gunplay right now. We know a lot of world artists, we know a lot of like producers, all that kind of stuff, but I don't actually know who's in control of
Like the lead
it.
gunplay people, I can't imagine they're like not Bungie veterans.
They've
Like,
got to be awesome.
yeah,
I
so
assume.
you would imagine that they're probably from Destiny 2 itself, or
Yeah.
even back from the Halo days. It's just, yeah, I really just don't want to see them like trying to emulate some other game, like just to make
Right.
it distinct from Destiny, because like Destiny's one of the best feeling shooters, ever. Like, for all the complaints about PvP, it's like balance and maps, and like everybody pretty much agrees that Destiny feels great as a shooter. So that is the one thing they need to carry over for sure, in addition to all these like security measures. So
They
I'm
gotta know that
assuming
though,
they
right?
will.
They gotta
Like,
know.
yeah.
Like,
I hope so.
it's
You never know.
Bungie. Like, we've been making shooters that feel awesome since
Yeah.
Marathon.
I think that's in their DNA. They're not gonna lose that first person shooter slickness, I don't think.
In all honesty,
think
it's what they
will
bring to
be
the table
interesting-
with an extraction shooters. Like, oh, Bungie's jumping in. That's awesome because they're just gonna now, instead of having these shaky controls that so many of these have, now we're gonna get like one with Bungie controls, and that is what they bring to the table. So if they don't bring that to the
And a
table,
Bungie
like, what are they
budget,
bringing?
and a Sony budget, a Sony Bungie budget. That's
Good point. So,
significant.
do you think this was the $100 million they got from NetEase, or do you think this is Sony's?
No. I think that's still. I think Netty stuff is still mobile. This has been in the works for a while. Like, since Bungie was independent, but I'm sure they showed this to Sony like as the acquisition was going on, and Sony's like, yes, like we want live service. Like, this is absolutely what we want. And like, I don't know how funding works and whatever, but like for this, I'm sure Sony's giving them whatever they need to kind of make this work. And then Bungie's also teaching like their other studios how to make live service games like this too. So it's a pretty big deal for Sony, because I mean they're doing like a dozen live service multiplayer games in the next few years, and like this is obviously going to be one of the most prominent ones.
Who's going to be playing all these
because
live
they briefly
service
mentioned
games?
seasons.
Well, this is a bit different to like a Destiny live service game, right? Like, of course you're gonna invest time in it, but it's not as crazy as like essentially an MMO.
Well, it'll have
is.
seasons. It'll have a battle pass. It'll have a cosmetic
Yeah.
shop. It'll never end. Essentially, like
Yeah.
there's Destiny live service, and like I guess Genshin Impact and whatever, like that kind of thing, and I guess maybe Diablo coming up, and then there's like PvP live service where it's just battle pass season, maybe a new map, whatever it is. Like, those are both technically live service. They're just different.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing with this and like the gunplay will be the pacing. And I think when you look at like extraction shooters, you've got a scale. You've got something like Escape from Tarkov that is very slow pace, like very short time to kill. One bullet to the face, you fall over, back to the lobby, spend 30 minutes, you lay out again. And then you got something like Call of Duty, also a very quick time to kill, but really no hassle in the loadout. It's not a huge deal to like lose your gear in like DMZ and Call of Duty in their extraction mode, and it doesn't feel that bad. But what happens is you lose all the tension, and they've sort of spoke about trying to get the balance between tension and tediness, like something being too tedious. And that's a really hard balance, because if something is too like not important enough, it kind of becomes like Call of Duty. It was like, oh, well, back lobby, like re-queue you back in, which you want for fast games. But if there's no like risk with it, then you lose all the tension of it. And like, I think that's like going to be the thing that they need to nail, because it will keep people playing if you're just spending more time in your menus than you are in the game, and you don't get to do the shoot pew pews, which is like, I know what's your main reason you don't like these kind of games is like, it is a lot of nothing and potentially just getting shot and not knowing where you got shot from, and then going back to
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think for me, so I actually did enjoy the Division 1's Dark Zone. And I think the reason that I liked that is because so they had AI camps that you could go and attack, and of course there were real people, but it always felt like real people were never too far away from me. So when I was looking at an AI camp, it was, yeah. So when I was looking at like, I want to take down this camp to get this item, it's a risk of, if I do that, someone's going to hear me. So I'm going to have to be aware constantly, because there's someone for sure going to come. So it always felt like there was action pretty close by to anything that I was doing. And that's what made it feel exciting for me, was that, yeah, I wasn't going for a long period of just going in buildings and looting stuff and not seeing anyone for a long time. So I would hope that Bungie doesn't need to go like crazy balls to the wall madness, but considering that it is a lot brighter than the other kind of extraction shooters that we have, I hope that they can also do a more unique thing of maybe the time to kill is a little slower. Maybe you can see people better, which with it being bright, you probably can.
I
And
think
with
you
it
are. I
being,
think they're like, yeah.
yeah,
It's like
and with it
Windows
There's
being a
a good
High
bit more
example
Viz
of
mode.
skulking around in a dark underground flooded thing and then seeing
Yeah.
like the green light of a boss like about to attack you. So I think there will be like light areas, but also I know the trailer's really light, but I think they're gonna do a lot of like darker interiors and stuff too. So it'll probably be
Yeah.
a pretty wide range.
and, and that's kind of the issue, and why a lot of people maybe don't like games like Tarkov is you often don't see people. They can be hiding in a bush or a corner or a dark area, which adds tension, but can also feel really frustrating when you get shot and you don't know where you got shot from. I'm feeling they're going to be much more in the middle of that scale because of the aesthetic of the game, that they want you to be able to see engagements and like actually have a fight. And I think the time to kill probably pretty similar to Destiny. And now that they have a PvP only mode, they can try to balance that a bit better. So it's sort of going to be something like if you start the engagement first, and ambush someone, you're going to have an advantage, but maybe it's not impossible for a good player to use their skills and knowledge of the map and guns that they have on and loot that they have on to win or something like that.
I'm really curious about movement because like in these kind of shooters, it's a lot of on the ground play, but like Bungie's like really all about kind of movement in the Destiny era. So like, is it going to be sort of more of a high flying thing, but that kind of runs counter to like the pacing of a usual kind of extraction shooter? So I'm really wondering what kind of character kits and abilities are going to look like in this, and if it will be
yeah.
kind of a drastic departure from Destiny in that regard. Like we know that these are all custom characters, so like you have, it's not like a hero shooter version of this or something with ultimates in the same sense. But I am wondering how you kind of build out your character and how that will differentiate this game from pretty much
Did
all
they
the other
say
ones
there
in the
were
genre.
skills, like different runners to
No,
choose
they
from? I can't
they
remember
didn't
now.
say they were
No.
skills, but like if you, I would
Right.
assume there's like equipment or something that might be like the equivalent of picking up a skill on the fly or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, so like a lot of other games, well, I mean, not a lot. I mean, most of my experience with Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov has a Destiny grind built into it, which is like an RPG element where you actually have like skills that you build. So like strength skill makes you run faster, jump higher, that kind of stuff. Endurance, you can run for longer, that kind of thing. So there could always be something in the background that
Oh, you mean like skill
that is
points, like skill, like a skill, like building up skills.
yeah, and
Like
it's
okay.
persistent. It's persistent
Mhm.
too. So it's like even if your character dies, which it will, your strength level remains the same. So you can be working towards building a certain type of character, I guess.
I think that's necessary because like if it's just a total clean wipe every time with like very little carryover, I don't think that's something people would want to invest in as much as having a longer term system that has some sort of persistent RPG aspects to it in
Yeah.
whatever
Well, I
sense.
guess if it's seasoned, yeah, you sort of.
Hmm.
I mean, the issue with doing that kind of thing is then you get a game that's like Destiny PvP now, where you have people that are more geared, I
Yeah.
guess, stomping players that are less geared. But that's sort of the point of extraction shooters too.
Yeah,
So
that's the
whatever.
whole
Mhm.
I
point,
don't know.
isn't it?
I hope that this is
Yeah.
why I hope that I know that games have moved away from having any kind of skill gap, especially one that is a movement gap of any kind. But if they could make it to where there is a skill gap in terms of how you actually move your character and use your gun, that is a way for players to be able to fight against better kitted out players. It's like when you're
Yeah.
playing like Apex, right? And you're running around and you have white shields. You can beat someone with purple shields. Should you actively go and look for a fight? Probably not. But you can outplay people because of the time to kill
Yeah.
and the movement and
Hmm.
all that stuff.
Yeah. As long as they give you that possibility, and that's where a lot of the fun on this game comes into it, is like, hey, I'm gonna go in with a pistol and no armor and no backpack, and hopefully I can surprise a player and take all their gear and get out.
Yeah.
Like that is
Mhm.
often the memorable moment you get. And as long as you can outplay someone with less gear, you'll get that massive like rush and high, and you enjoy the game. If it's impossible to do it, then it's gonna stumble really hard.
And
So
like
let me
you're
ask
never
you
going to
guys.
avoid frustrating people in a game like this. Like it's kind of built in that like at some point you will feel like
Well, that's
you
how you
got screwed
create the
over
tension of the game.
somehow.
That's why it's different than an arena shooter,
Mhm.
right? It's like, yeah, you don't get constant action all the time, but the positive to that is that when you do get action, it's you get this huge adrenaline rush because you've been just kind of maintaining this base level of like exploring or looting or whatever you're doing, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you got this like massive adrenaline spike because so much relies on your performance during this one quick moment.
It's
Yeah.
it's going to be exciting either way,
Yeah.
whether it's for you or not for you, because we haven't had a AAA extraction shooter that's on all platforms, cross play, cross save, made for controller and mouse and keyboard. And if they're matching people cross play, unless they're doing like input based matchmaking, they're going to have to make sure that those things are balanced really well. Which, in my opinion, I think Destiny does
Bungie does,
like
yeah.
probably the
Bungie does
best
the
job out
best.
of all of them. So
Compared to other ones, yeah. I mean,
that is exciting.
I guess you could argue that Call of Duty is a AAA that's got
Well,
a extraction mode.
right, but it's a mode within a mode. It's not like a
Yeah, it is a
standalone
very like
extraction shooter.
extraction light kind of. It's a mode within Call of Duty, but
The mode
Yeah.
within Call of
it's
Duty within Warzone.
All right, I
yeah, the
want to
mode
move
within
on.
Call of
I want to
Duty
move
is
on
the
because we
whole-
got so much to talk about tonight. But I do
Yeah.
want to ask you guys, as
Yeah.
to transition back to Destiny.
Yep.
Do you think Destiny players have any reason to be like, well, now that we've seen this, like, okay, this is why there's been like a brain drain on PvP in Destiny because they're creating this, or like this is why PvP is the way it is because the PvP centric heads are all moving over to here to this new thing because they've been doing Destiny for 10 years now. Is there a reason to be
Is
worried if
that
you're a Destiny
debatable?
fan?
I think that's like a fact. Like I don't think that's a theory. I think that's literally what happened.
Yeah, I
Which isn't to
Yeah.
say it's like terrible. Like I get why they did that, but I think they're gonna have to like they really got to staff up PvP and Destiny if they ever wanted to like you know catch up with everything. Which I don't think it will at this point. But yeah, I think that's exactly what happened.
yeah,
And
I'm
the
in
thing
a
is, they're very different games too, right? Like it's just the people who like PvP and Destiny. There's a big portion of that's not going to like an extraction shooter, and that's fine. So it's sort of it feels even harsher when
Mhm.
Destiny PvP sort of got dumpstered, and this it seems like this took a lot of the talent from it.
Yeah, I have like a mostly PvP centered kind of community. They play a lot of things, but I have a lot of PvP people who follow me, and there's definitely a lot of like people saying, "Is it wrong that I'm kind of sad or a bit upset that the game that I love has been squandered and kind of left to fizzle out so they can make this game that I have no interest in?" Like if this was an arena shooter that's made with like to feel like Destiny, it'd be like, okay, this makes sense. You're making a dedicated PvP experience for me. Um, so I have seen that. I have seen people being a little bit upset or being like, I can't really trust Bungie to do good with PvP because they've just ignored it when it was doing so well in Destiny. So the sentiment for PvP players, I think, is a bit of a mixed bag. It's like the excitement that you're getting the dedicated servers and all of this stuff being so important right from the beginning. Um, but they are a little bit sad that Destiny PvP kind of had to die to make it happen. And I think Bungie would be a little crazy to completely ignore their Destiny PvP community by making this like so different
Yeah,
to how Destiny feels. Like if they
yeah.
can make the game feel good, because let's be honest, the big reason why most of us is still playing Destiny PvP is because it feels better than everything else. So if they can make a dedicated PvP game that feels incredible, that's gonna go a long way for Destiny PvP players to try it out and stick around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that gets me a little bit excited because I only think that those Destiny PvP players would like this game if they added other modes. And like Escape from Tarkov is adding an arena mode. Apex Legends added an arena mode. So I think if even the extraction shooter portion of it fails miserably, the fact that you have so much investment in a PvP only game by Bungie, I think it would be very plausible in years later for it to pivot into something else too. And we know that Bungie is stuck with their IPs. I mean, Destiny's launch wasn't stellar, and it's been iterating and has stuck around for 8 years. So I think
it wasn't
it's
stellar, but it
good
had
to
a
have
huge player
PvP.
base. Like for like a lot of
other
games
people
that
would
have
kill for that
failed.
player base.
Yeah.
Like
It didn't get good
But it had a good
reviews,
foundation.
but it had a big
Right.
player base, even though it got poor reviews. Not even poor reviews, 7s.
Yeah, it had a really solid foundational like play loop, which I think people recognized and
Mhm.
wanted to see develop more. And I think as long as Marathon releases with a good PvP sandbox with environments and characters and weapons and loot, it will eventually succeed. Essentially, because
Okay, here's what's gonna happen. So Marathon's gonna release PvP only, and then in a couple years we're gonna have Marathon 2, and there's going to be PvE missions that add on to the game,
Okay.
and
Oh, that sounds
um,
fun because the
and
lore of
it
Marathon is like, and the characters are so great. I can't wait to play like a PvE mode.
yeah, and then it definitely won't get inexplicably canceled out of nowhere.
But that's the whole reason you said there was going to be a Marathon too.
Yeah, but I kind of just wanted to make the game free to play, so I don't know. We'll see. I do
It'll
agree
never
there's going to
happen.
be a
It
lot more
sounds so
modes though, for
implausible.
sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Should we talk
we'll
about Cayde is coming back?
Yes, the
Okay.
other thing that people are angry about and upset about.
Oh God, come on, man.
How are you going to be upset that
I haven't
Cayde is
really
coming
seen
back?
anything, to be honest.
Because they're like this undoes all of the meaningful lore of Forsaken, and like that was a really big thing, and you're undoing it. And I'm like, guys, he's clearly not actually alive again. He's not been resurrected from the dead.
Is that the impression you got too? That's kind of the impression I got. Is that like
Yeah.
Ikora was
Yeah,
somehow
it's like an other
some
space,
realm
yeah.
between realms and speaking to like Cayde's spirit or of something of that. But at the end, when he it looks like he's preparing to fight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's got Ace of Spades, so I guess when you die, you get to keep your favorite gun.
Like
I mean, isn't
maybe
it kind of dope
Savathun's
if
got something involved here. Like she somehow has been able to like get him out of his throne world or something. I don't know what's going on.
it shows a
Mylan?
hunter kind of like stabbing Savathun in the trailers.
That's true.
I feel like that if it's a kind of this alternate realm, there's no real reason why the witness isn't in there. Like if the witness has managed to penetrate kind of this afterlife of the Guardian's Light Traveler thing, then that's pretty scary. That would make sense that why he's there. There's also a bunch of leaks about all of this, so be really careful. There's leaks
The
about
realm
all
stuff
of
is
the
what
prototypes.
I'm the most curious about based on what we saw, because like the landscape did not look alien. It just looked like a very pristine version of Earth. It did not look like the Black Garden. Like it looked like some sort of like Earth-based utopia, which is certainly not what I would expect to see inside the Traveler or whatever. So I am wondering if this is some sort of like mind construct of a human or Cayde's construct or something like that, rather than a physical space. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of waterfalls and stuff inside the Traveler. Like, I think it's going to be a little more complicated than that, maybe.
Well, it could do with memory for sure. Like that's sort of the theme of a lot of these expansions is darkness and memory and the non-physical. And yeah, there's a portal there that was opened with the veil, which is meant to be like the memory of the universe. So
Ikora has also been on a
Psychos?
downward trend for quite a while now, so maybe like this is tied into like I don't know, like getting her back to the fight, with Cayde's memory, her remembrance of Cayde possibly.
She was
Like
haunted
horrors-
by Cayde's
yeah.
nightmare in season of The Haunted. We just never saw that. It was just like a lore page.
Yep.
in a lot of the new lore stuff, it's a lot of talk of memory and like time ripples again, similar to what happened on Mars.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it could
but
be a
with
time
Titan,
thing
so
too. That would make
Different
sense.
timelines.
All I know is
Although
that I
he's
was
got
happy
this
to hear
weird
his
glowing
voice
stuff on
again.
his face. So.
Literally the most fun character in Destiny.
I mean, I haven't really given it too much thought yet because I was too excited about Marathon, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels odd that they've killed off so many characters this season and then brought Cayde back. It definitely loses a little bit of its weight.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like a trick. Like even if he's not really back and whatever, like death is already so hard to like execute properly in Destiny because like, oh, if you're a guardian, you can be resurrected a million times. Like Savathun's ghost is alive. Obviously she's coming back. Humans can be resurrected as guardians if they've died for the first time. Like, so he felt like one of the really, really kind of permanent deaths, and like they based the whole expansion around that. So like it is a little weird just to see him back, just so everyone can go like, yay, Cayde. Like I hope it can't
Yay,
just be him
Cayde!
coming back. It's got to be like a well written way to bring him back and like an interesting integration of him into the story, not just like, yeah, hooray, Cayde's back.
Was there anything else in that trailer like worth talking about, like pointing toward what we can expect for the final shape? I don't know why I didn't expect to see the final shape trailer at this. I mean, they now are owned by Sony.
Sure didn't.
I know,
I
but like if
didn't.
you think about it, like they always show off their like next year's like around this time. Their next year's expansion around this time. The PlayStation, they're owned by Sony now. The PlayStation like E3-ish kind of thing was happening. It blindsided me.
Well, PlayStation didn't show much of anything else, so
There was Phantom Blade Zero, which was
that
the
was
best
the best
game.
thing they showed.
That was
yeah.
the best thing
That
ever.
did look really cool. But well, and then so now there's this August showcase, which is that lines up with the timing of the Witch Queen showcase, like 6
also
months
the end
early.
of the season, right? It's the like last day of the season or
Mhm.
something. So we like finish this season, whatever happens with this season, and then we'll hear about the final shape. But we'll also be hearing about what's in store for the future of Destiny 2 in general, which was good to hear.
Interesting.
More expansions. Yep.
We'll see. Maybe they're like, we're deleting PvP. You saw Marathon. You don't need that anymore. Gambit, that's gone. That's kind of in Marathon too. There's AI. And then there you go. But big the co-op PvE game. But we did see us fighting together with Cayde and Misrax. We were like back to back with them.
Yes,
Guardians
that was cool
with them,
seeing.
so.
Yep.
Although I got to question that Hunter using Knucklehead Radar and Last Word. Interesting choice. I don't know if there are ADS in that thing, but
He thinks he's playing PvP, but
that explains why we're the best Guardians, because I don't know what's going on there.
Should we talk about the expansion?
The season or the expansion?
Season.
Yeah, the season. Sorry.
Season. Yeah.
The season to deep.
Let's talk about how Mylan hates fishing.
Yeah, what do you
Hates
got against
fishing
fishing?
and hates fishermen.
Like in general?
Okay, listen.
Or
No,
Is anybody
no,
wearing
this is what
yellow
happened.
as well?
I made a video about Marathon, and then look, a Marathon's not going to be for all Destiny players, and this is and someone's like, ew, PvP, oh, extraction shooters are boring or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I can work with this energy. So I did a tweet that said, Destiny players, extraction shooters are boring. And then also Destiny players, how good is fishing? Okay. It was meant to be a bit of a goof, but like
that was a good
Twitter
tweet.
got hold of it.
Mylan, that is a good tweet. And that, I meant to have a good goof when I said that it's God of Puzzles, but they threatened to murder me.
Yeah, it's a good tweet, but like I've been online enough to know that you would get trash for that.
The funniest reply was someone being like, it's funny you hide your fishing stats, Mylan.
Like what?
If that was a joke, that's a pretty good joke. But if they were serious, then
I was so confused when people were posting like it looked like the trial stats. I'm like, why are they bringing up my PvP for? Then it took me a while to realize they were looking for my fishing stats.
You haven't even tried it, Mylan.
The irony is like, guess what, gamers? Things that you find boring, someone else might find exciting. Things that you find exciting, someone might find boring. Like that was the irony of the tweet. Is like whatever you like, but
people don't understand irony on Twitter.
Oh no, they don't. They really do not.
So
that's your first
we've
mistake.
discovered a new subsection of the Destiny community in the fishing Destiny community who are very, very protective of fishing.
Hey, look, here's a whole new group of people to block.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I will join you in saying after like 3 days, I'm like kind of overfishing because it's clear it's going to be a ton of time based on the system they have set up where it's totally random if you get enough people in an instance, essentially, to build up the meter fast enough, which is only built up when you get like random legendary fish. And then maybe you get a tiny bit of like max level fishing, and then a public event starts. And every time a public event starts, it not only erases fishing, it erases the meter. And
Why
this
does it
happens
do that?
routinely because fishing is coded as a public event.
It is.
And
Yep.
so it goes away when a public event happens. But I also think they did this on purpose so people can't just max fish forever and just get infinite legendary and exotic fish, which I get, but like I would have rather just there been like an overall timer or something, because it does feel like right when you get to max rank, like within like 30 seconds or a minute or two, you're just getting wiped out by public events, which either you have to run a boring public event to get it over with quickly, or you just sit there for 5 minutes to wait for fishing to come back. I don't like that loop after a few days of doing this, honestly. Like
They're really
I
trying to
don't love
make you do public events, huh?
yeah. Clear this fast, get back to fishing.
There is a way
Yeah,
to keep
clear
your
the
meter,
event
which
fast.
we discussed. If you leave all of your fish on the ground, like your legendary fish and everything, you do the public event, and then you come and pick up the fish, it will give you meter back. And then you can continue.
Interesting. That'll get
That's
patched.
That
It's a
yeah, I know. It'll be a hot fix tomorrow.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, and like someone said, like it's not meant to be efficient, which like I get, but like also they put all of the reckoning weapons in fishing, so it's like an actual thing you're trying to get loot out of. So like I like that they put actual rewards in it. Like I like that it's not just like a little farm soccer mini game, but
yeah.
the way it works now, like there's a difference between like not efficient and like actively annoying when it deletes fishing every 10 minutes and your streaks. So I don't know.
I did get an Ascendant Shard. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
I do like
I
that
got
you
some
can-
great exotics. No good rolls on the reckoning weapons yet, and those are not craftable, so you have to get
Take
normal
your
god
ass
rolls for
fishing.
those. Yeah.
You know, I gotta
Mhm.
say, so speaking about fishing, I did not expect for them to put fishing in the game, but I didn't expect it to be like this much. Like you can go into the mission and find things to put in your aquarium. There's a bunch of things that you can do in the game for triumphs to get decorations for your aquarium. You've got all of like the seasonal like artifacts and collectibles in there. It's like it's a full thing. I wasn't expecting that. So I appreciate that they did do like a
Do you think
Yeah,
it's going to be
it's very fleshed
one
out.
and done, or do you think that fishing will be around for a while and they'll add new loot
You
to
can
it?
put loot
or-
in here. Yeah, they can put loot in the fish.
I don't think it'll survive
I-
the year, but
Maybe
I
not
know
this year,
people are
no.
saying now that they want it to, but like check back in 9 months and see if people still want to be
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah, this is just
then.
like Sparrow Racing League all over again. Like
Oh,
everyone
well,
loved it
people
when
are
it
still
first came
talking
out, then
about
everyone
that,
hated on
but,
it, and then it went away, and then it was like, oh, wish we had Sparrow Racing League back.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I want
Um,
Crimson Days. People
I'm
back,
convinced
'cause
there's
I
like 6 people on Twitter that like Sparrow
just
Sparrow Racing
repeat
League,
these
and
same
they're
things over and over.
extremely verbose.
Yeah.
But I do think it's probably provided evidence of like mini games can work for seasons. So
Mhm.
For sure.
like
Yeah,
it's probably
fishing and
a new game loop. They're like, oh my god, we can make like a tiny mini game that will boost like engagement by like 2,000%. Wicked.
Yeah, I want to see their engagement stats here. Like average playtime is up 250% season over season.
you know, there's a reason that fishing is in like every MMO and every game. People do
Mhm.
like fishing. They like doing the
don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
I mean-
I like fishing. I just really don't like the public event thing. If it wasn't for that, like I think I would be totally fine. But
Yeah, I mean it's fine. Like there's definitely times where I think about turning Destiny. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? And now it might just be I'll put something on and I'll fish, and that's okay. There's enough room in Destiny for a bit of variety like that. But I think we'll probably see. Maybe they didn't expect such a positive sort of reception to fishing, so I think we'll probably see more like mini games in Destiny's future for decorations.
gardening,
in-
mining,
Nah, please
wood
not my.
cutting,
Oh god.
house.
That is one of my pet
Blacksmithing.
peeves about all these games. Like, hey, now you got to go chop a tree for 2 minutes so that you can get wood, and you got to do that for the next 10 hours so that you can build a more
that was
proficient
New
mining
World.
tool.
Yeah, I was just running around cutting down like thousands of trees in that game. That's like most of what I did is just cut down trees in New World.
I'm okay with that. There are games out there that like that. I just don't want to interact with them.
That's
power washing. Now go clean up the EDZ. Everyone just washing the buildings.
we can go clean up the Elixir quarter. They'll appreciate that.
Does need it.
Can you see us clean it up the first time where we put little like Christmas lights up and
See, put your mini game there of like building housing for the Elixir.
yeah.
So how was the story for the season?
Story
it's good
is
stuff.
Sloane psychically communicating with a whale from
Good.
Avatar.
A good girl in the soup.
Going to be an interesting story, I think, this season. But I think we're going to learn a lot of good
so-
history. We already have, right, Mylan?
All right, Mylan,
yeah,
what's
I've
the
only just-
lore?
Yeah, I've only just started. I haven't finished all of them yet. I've only started reading the. I think it's all the Taken gear has a bunch of lore, and the armor has a bunch of lore, which pretty much gives you the backstory to how like Sloane survived and what happened when Titan was like taken and this sort of invasion. And yeah, essentially, she telepathically communicates with Space Whale, who encourages her to interact with these Taken blights, and that's as far as I got actually so far. I haven't read the rest of them yet.
It's so I don't know if you read this part yet, but like it's this creature, this sea worm, I think is supposed to be the race that were turned into hive worm gods, and this specific one witnessed the whatever happened with all the siblings back in the day, like back on Fundament. And I don't know how they were transported
Interesting.
here or whatever, but that
Okay,
that is a
because
thing.
I read a lore entry about so when Sloane's like on Titan and has been like abducted by the pyramid ships, she gets all these like flashbacks and memories, and one of the memories she has is of the Fundament, and she thinks is connected to the Space Whale. I'm like, what is going on here? Why is she having a memory of the Fundament?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
why I don't know more than that, but that's the gist of what I heard. I don't know what that lore is on. It might be in a book or armor piece, but it's something.
I remember
Um,
hearing, like, I don't know if it was during the story or the lore or whatever it was, but they were saying that Asha, is her name Asha? Is that her name? I want to be respectful.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That she was there for like the first people that or beings that the witness kind of murdered or dealt
That's
with
in
or
the week
did
was
something.
it her race,
week one story.
the first race that like he took or killed or
Something like
whatever?
that. Yeah.
The witness's first victims, I think, is how it's phrased.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
we got told that in the raid, Val the Disciple, and Nezzy says something like Savathun stole the veil, she whisked it away to Neptune, along with the sapid secrets of the first victims. And
Mm-hmm.
then week one of this season, they mentioned the first victims of the witness again, and it sort of implies it was these long boys and girls in the soup.
Yeah. Yep.
Other people thought it meant. Other people interpreted that. I know which the sentence you're speaking of. Other people interpreted that as there are multiple travelers.
Oh.
Oh,
It talks about like some dream, saying like a desert with travelers and the first victims of the witness or something like that.
well, that was a Savathun truth and a lie. Is there are other travelers or there's more than one traveler?
Well, there's also that too.
But yeah, who knows how many of those are true?
Yeah, I didn't think they meant multiple actual travelers. I thought they were talking about the giant serpents.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's cool.
the story
Gotta
seems
go. Gotta
pretty.
make a video.
The story seems pretty interesting. Like I'm interested in Sloane talking to this mythical whale thing in the water. I think that that's really interesting. I think Titan is an interesting location as well. So I think that I'll enjoy the story this season, and I like the general vibe of it with us going underwater.
Drifter
Yeah.
was saying some
Yeah.
interesting things in all this, where the radio message this week was, I think he was talking to Zavala, where he was talking about how he thinks the Nine like communicated with him and made him build Gambit, and like prepared him for this specific moment where he's using like Gambit
Yeah.
tech to help us do worm shit, and
Mm.
like I don't know, I haven't heard the 9 brought up in a really long time, so
It has been a
that was
while.
interesting to kind of go back to that, and like that they still exist, because last time we talked about the 9
Yeah,
it was
I
like
gotta
Star Wars, but
I got to revise my 9 lore and also Drift's lore, but they gave him the thing, the taken ball sack he drags behind his ship. Like, that was a gift from the 9, that realm that he has with him, where he
Looks
can
like the
like summon
veil,
taken.
suspiciously.
yeah. Then he's
Kind
got
of true, yeah.
Egregore also. He's got a ton of crap on that ship.
Oh yeah, all the Egregor's an interesting lore bit
Mm,
too.
yeah.
Need to go back and revise that.
There's a lot.
Too much art
Egregor's
to
I looked at the seasonal armor just from that. I was like, oh Mylan, oh Lord, because it kind of tells the story of like Sloane's experience on the planet disappearing, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
One of the best bits of that
Yeah.
was where Ghost has razor blades attached to it. And so like
Yes.
the ghost
Yes.
can kill things by itself. I don't know if anyone caught that, but like that was very cool.
That's
Yeah, the
amazing.
ghost is like spinning around, chopping stuff up.
And then someone mentioned this in
Razor
chat. The
blades.
best lore bit was, I don't even know what this was on, but it's Saint Osiris talking, and then
Oh yeah.
Saint's like, yeah, it's so great to see Sloane again. Like maybe Brother Vance has hope after all. And Osiris is just like, who? The one of the best funny lore entries I think I've ever read. It was so good.
Yeah, just
That is
got
pretty great.
absolutely slapped. Oh, well.
Someone was like, "Oh,
Uh,
like Savathun erased his memories of like Brother Vance," and I'm like, "No, he's just owning him." Like,
no. Because Osiris didn't like Brother Vance. Like, yeah, that was like the plot twist
Right.
of that whole like cult of Osiris was they were all worshipping him, and Osiris is like, "You guys are losers." Just like
Yeah.
leaves
He's
them.
like, parasocial relationships. I don't like it. It's creepy.
Yeah. It pretty much was like any TwitchCon event where like fans meet live stream. So
Yeah,
Oh,
see
man.
you at GCX soon.
Briefly.
Hello, Brother Vances. Welcome to my meet and greet.
Hello, it's my brother Vance. Thanks for the money. Chat really from the body blow.
Have you guys gotten any cool weapons from the new season?
Cool weapon.
No, nothing good.
Not yet.
I haven't
Oh,
played much. I got derailed by all the announcements, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did spend like
And
yeah
Zelda. I got
5
derailed by
hours
Zelda.
talking about stuff. But the strand sword is interesting. It's a strand sword, so like that's just interesting. It can get hatchling on it and chain reaction,
That's
so
fun.
you can do some funny. And it's also a twirly sword, so you can just go in
Oh.
there, twirl, make
Ooh.
hatchlings. Bada bing. That's pretty fun. Do enjoy that.
Does chain reaction make tangles?
I don't know.
think
I
it
don't.
There's a
would.
cooldown on
Yeah.
tangles. You're probably gonna make one, won't it? And then it like stops.
Yeah, I think
Would
you'd have
would that
to.
work?
You'd have to
Maybe.
like debuff it with a strand thing first, and then maybe do that. I mean, the good thing is that so in the artifact this season, you can have your strand weapons gain unraveling rounds whenever you have woven mail. So if you're running around with a strand sword, you're gonna have unraveling rounds on your sword.
Does that work on the sword?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think
Yeah,
so.
it will.
I think it
And then
works,
there's
yeah.
another mod that increases unraveling damage at the same time. So
Yes.
good
So
season for unraveling.
there's some pretty fun stuff that you can do with that.
Right.
I've been using the
I've been
new
just
Arc
running-
exotic
I've been
a
running
little
Arc.
bit, but yeah, I'm really back on Arc too, especially in my Warlock, with all the buffs that got. And yeah, the new exotic is interesting. It's hard to take off like Trinity Ghoul or something
Right.
that's like clearly good, but it really leans into like the arc speed concept where it reloads when you
Yeah.
sprint, it charges up this meter when you sprint, it shoots like AoE arc blasts when the meter's charged. It's an auto rifle, which is overload this season. Like it's shredding red bars because of the buff. Like it does feel good. I don't know if it's the best exotic ever. I don't know what the catalyst does yet. I haven't gotten that yet, but I've been using that to kind of rank up the catalyst, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it does. It does. There is a It's good because there is a way to use it. Like it reloads it when you run, so you basically just got to keep moving. You like run, slide, shoot. Before you reload, you have to just like stop shooting, run around for a little bit because that reloads the ammo and you don't lose the charge on it. Then you shoot again. But I did try to use it in because you can you can go into solo in is it deep dive?
Yeah.
And I did that and it was really fun playing it solo, but I feel like there's a lot of wasted time because you can't switch to a secondary and like use a shotgun or use a blinding nade. You sort of just like running around with your gun, waiting for it to reload and then charge up again and then shoot it. So
Oh, the catalyst lets the weapon charge when amplified, and like shit, you're always amplified if you're on arc.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
it'll
okay,
pretty
just
that
be
cool.
would
always charging. That's really good. Because I was gonna say the other thing is like if you're standing on a plate and like have to hold a plate or something and like you just can't move, like that
Yeah.
is also like kind of a real killer. And like there's so many mechanics like that. So
okay. Well, that the catalyst seems like that would solve probably the issues I'm having with it. And I also
yes.
wonder what the Titan exotic that reloads auto rifles would be like with it.
Oh, I had that on briefly to check out Sweet Business with the new version, but I don't know. Like it's always fun. It's just I feel like there's more interesting exotics to use, especially with all the subclass buffs. So
Yeah.
I'm on a really fun Monte Carlo second chance Void Titan build where they really buff second chance, where now all your shields weaken. They kill anti-barriers or they kill barriers in one hit. You instantly get a shield back. And Monte Carlo's getting you back it all the time. Makes everything volatile. Seasonal artifacts when you kill volatile things or pick up a void breach, you get an overshield. Like the whole loop is really, really good. And
That's
that's been
cool.
a really fun
Yeah.
build to use on Titan so far.
Nice.
I feel like there's much
Um,
more integration now between weapons and subclasses, like
Oh
having
oh,
to
yeah,
have them
for
definitely.
sure. Have you
really
seen the new
work together.
perk where it's like if you pick up any elemental thing or throw a strand tangle, you will get a stacking damage bonus? So I'm wondering like with ionic traces, considering how often those come in, how that would work with some of those weapons, because that's a new perk as of this season.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
What do we think about the mission to get the strand aspect?
Oh
The new
yeah,
strand aspect.
I made a video on that. Oh man, so this is the mission that is meant to continue to provide ongoing information and understanding about the Veil. I believe there is more dialogue which I haven't heard yet. If you go back to Osiris and sorry, back to the Cloud Arc, and also I think it is. Look, I didn't know if it was weekly or not because I don't read leagues, but then everyone's like, it's weekly, it's weekly, it's weekly. I've read the leagues. Oh, I'm a loser. So I think, yeah, I think this is going to keep playing out over the season, but it was a pretty lackluster beginning to explaining the Veil because it pretty much repeated everything that we already know about the
Right.
Veil. Savathun stole it, put it
Knew
on
that.
Neptune. Maybe the only tiny bit of information is they sort of suggest that she intended for Maya Sundaresh to find it, which was interesting, but that's just a theory from Osiris. And then we got a little bit of dialogue from Chioma Essie about the moments of the collapse, which we already knew, and how then they got to Neptune, which we already knew, and then the only new bit of information was she mentioned that Maya predicted it all because of her cult, which is a reference to future war cults, because Maya Sundaresh helped develop the device, which is like the object future war cult kind of worship because it gives them visions of the future. So implies that Maya Sundaresh actually saw this vision of Neptune, saw like the collapse, predicted they needed to go to Neptune to escape. So some timey-wimey stuff happening, I guess, for Maya Sundaresh like discovering the veil and that kind of thing. And that's it.
Okay.
Take this with a tiny grain of salt, but I heard that this was developed in reaction to the Veil memes when Lightfall launched. And that is kind of crazy if that's true, because that would mean the cooldown time to spin up a mission like this was really low, but it would also kind of explain how basic it kind of is, and why it's not really like a real campaign mission in the traditional sense. I believe that they sympathize with people wanting more of an explanation for the Veil and wanted to come up with something faster to get some more information out there. But I don't think this was like the plan for like, okay, the plan is to explain the Veil specifically over the course of the next year. But again, I'm not 100% sure that that's exactly what happened, but I did hear that, and it does kind of make sense to a certain extent after playing the mission and like seeing what the actual content of the mission was. But if that's true for a live service game, that would be like insanely fast to spool something like that up. And I'm not sure what else will come in the future, if they're going to do like one major of these a season, or if it's week to week, or what it'll be. But we'll see. I'm just not expecting anything like too heavy on like the mechanics front of it based on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all like sort of reused areas that we did in the campaign. The only thing that it's really added is, quest text and like dialogue, essentially, that you activate on a terminal.
I would be surprised if they were able to get the voice actors in so fast to record stuff because of
That's what I was
scheduling and
thinking,
stuff.
I heard that was difficult, but I don't know. I'm not 100% confident about any of this, but it does explain some of it to me if
On
that is true.
Fire and Range, their last episode, they were mentioning that when a season comes out, they're not working on the next season, they're working on the season after that. So they're like 6 months out from what you're seeing in the game.
Yeah.
Just for example on how fast that would have been, like why it'd be unusual.
So like, if this wasn't in the game, it feels, or wasn't originally planned to be in this season, it would feel so odd to have like Lightfall introduce the concept of the Veil, not explain anything, and then have like a bunch of seasons that didn't develop it and then go into like final shape.
Yeah, that'd be weird for Destiny.
Very,
What are
very
you
weird.
talking about? That's like completely how Destiny works. Like, hey, here's a concept that we'll briefly touch on and then never explain in any detail, and then completely forget about. Oh, that's 6 months later. Yeah, that's not how it works at all.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah. Also, the gun they had was the gun that was in the Lightfall key art.
In Lightfall,
that's the gun you're getting now.
Yes.
Something weird happened. Like, whether it's exactly what I'm saying or not, like something didn't quite fit together, I don't think, for Lightfall, and now they're sort of extending it throughout the year to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the PlayStation themed armor sets that they were tweeting out? Did they tweet that out? Or actually, where did that come from? It was tweet, right?
It's in the 12 as well.
It's in the
I
12
own
as
the
well.
Aloy one.
They're in the game now, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm switching over to Warlock. So
they're really good.
Which one was the
Mylan,
Warlock?
you have to play a Titan, okay? I want you to put on your Kratos armor and talk about how awesome God of War is, okay? The entire time.
Boy, can I just yell boy?
Yes.
Yes.
Every time chat angers you, boy.
Yes.
What game? It was what was the game?
Ghost
the
of
Warlock's got?
Tsushima, Horizon
Tsushima,
Zero Dawn,
that's right.
and God of War.
The Ghost of Tsushima
And then-
one is by far the best one, by a huge landslide.
True.
Except for Ghost of Tsushima, of course it's the best.
True.
But they also have finishers from all of the games. Like you get Kratos's kind of whip chain thing.
Yeah, you
Whip
can get
chain
a
axe thing.
Fungi
Did they
Ghost
increase
Sparrow
the price of
and
finishers?
I don't know actually.
I thought they did. I thought someone was saying it was like 800 to 1,000. I don't know, but getting all this stuff is a lot.
They also added Last of Us, Ghost Shell, Ship, and Sparrow, and apparently the ghost makes clicker noises.
Does it?
Oh,
my
no,
God, I gotta
that's
get that
clicker
thing.
noises.
creepy.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like when you have it out, or just always? It's just always.
I
clicking.
think just when you have it out, kind of like the cat when you bring it out and it meows. So if you can do it on command, that's actually even better. So you can just pull it out.
Freak people out on your fire team.
Yeah.
Can other people hear it?
Yes, they can. And then we also have the Ratchet and Clank emote.
Yeah, that one's kind of neat. I like Ratchet and Clank.
Nice.
Was there
It's
anything
been
else in the
actually
TWAB
been-
really that we should talk about?
Oh no,
That
there's
was just
like
kind of a recap, wasn't it?
Yeah.
there's like
Cool.
nothing in the TWAB. There's some
Okay.
dates
All the stuff that
of like
happened.
Iron Banners next week. When GMs are coming back, stuff like
Oh,
that.
well, they
But
did
that-
confirm, this wasn't the top, but they did confirm that deep dive, to go deeper in deep dive, is time gated. So
Oh, okay.
I was a little confused about that because it's like, go deeper and take on more challenges. And I'm like, I can't go any deeper. I go to the boss room and then it ends. Like, I don't. So I was genuinely confused if I was like missing some mechanic
deep as
or.
I can.
And I'm not even sure if this is going to be like stages, like it's going to get longer and longer, or if it's just like a rotator. Like there's three deep depths that rotate every week or something. But that really wasn't made clear at all from the description of the mission.
New dungeon tonight,
Oh yeah.
tomorrow.
Are you guys gonna do it live?
Dungeon.
We're doing it live. We're doing it
Yep.
right at reset. Mylan's very excited. And we're gonna be
1
doing
a.m.
it
1 a.m. Woo!
1 a.m. We're gonna be doing it with Lego. So it's gonna be me, Mylan, and Lego going through the dungeon.
Dungeon.
I'm very
dungeon.
excited for the dungeon. Just like because the theme of the season is really cool. I know I hate video game water, but I love the aesthetics of water. So
It's all underwater. It's all the
Oh.
bubbles.
It's
the
just
whole
all
segment. It's just navigating bubble mazes. That's all, and then you
Well,
find loot chests.
What did
Right.
you guys think about slow walk as a solution for being underwater?
Bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
I expected that's what it was going to be. That's
No,
exactly what
I got
expected it was
roasted.
gonna
I got roasted because I made a tweet like ahead of time where I'm like, they're not gonna make us go slow. They're not gonna have us get oxygen bubbles. Like, come on. And then that's precisely what happened. So yet another stellar prediction from me. I don't. It's very visually cool. It is deeply unfun to play every time in all of these missions.
In
Like,
any
I
game
was tired
ever.
of it after 2 times. Yeah, and like again, like I would have rather had some lore explanation like, oh, we got this thingamajig and it lets us fire our guns underwater and move normally, and oh, the Taken don't breathe, so they don't care. So then we're just fighting on the seafloor. Like that would have been, I think, more fun to me than these just underwater segments of crawling through, coral.
See,
and
I
stuff.
just feel like it's world building. Like if you had a season of Deep and you didn't have a section that you just went underwater, like how do you tell players you're like deep down? You've in this archaeology.
That's what I mean. But like, I still wish we were just like fighting down there, and they could just think of
Yeah.
a way to make that happen.
I initially saw it and
yeah.
was like, oh, so they took Sonic, the most traumatizing underwater game, as inspiration. And that's when I was a little scared.
And instead of drowning,
That is
your
okay.
this visor cracks in
It
on
cracks
you.
and goes
Oh
red.
man, that would. Oh.
Okay, so technically I wasn't wrong. It's not oxygen bubbles, it's pressure bubbles. So
It is pressure. Yeah.
that's
pressure.
way
Okay.
different.
Methane
Yes.
pressure. Pressure methane.
Pressure
Shall we do
methane.
some Twitter questions?
I think it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, we do know the name of the dungeon tomorrow. That was in the TWAB.
Okay.
And that is
Oh,
Ghosts of the Deep.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghosts of the Deep.
Well, they're always related to the season they're in now, both in terms of like lore and setting usually, which I like. I like that they do that. So
Okay. Yeah, and Trials of Osiris. Hopefully, all those things have been fixed, right?
Trials is coming
Is
out
live.
tomorrow as well. That's gonna have the
Really busy weekend.
2 Mercy on the card, which is nice, and then
Yep.
the new
Yeah.
matchmaking and it being Dominion and not Elimination. That's gonna all be live tomorrow.
give me like 5 mercies and I'll come back. More mercies.
I'm gonna do the Twitter questions. Hey Blaze says,
Twitter
with fishing
questions.
being added to Destiny 2, what other traditional MMO skills would you like to see added?
I want to farm and
Um,
cook because then I can use the fish and I can farm and I can cook and it would work together.
Yeah,
I like
probably
tree
cooking,
chopping.
right?
Tree chopping was my favorite thing in New World. So
I'm doing some cooking in
That's because of
Zelda,
the
and I'm not
sound
loving
effects.
it.
no, I don't like cooking Zelda.
You don't
either.
like cooking Zelda?
You gotta
No.
hold everything
Yeah,
in the menu, and then
it's
you
kind of
put it in
fun,
the-
like at first, but like the 100th time you do stuff like that, if it's not like perfectly streamlined, it just kind of like bugs you.
yeah.
Yeah, it does. I haven't played it, but I've watched Danny play it. And why do they do that with cooking? Why do you have to do that weird menu dance to get like hold everything and then dump it in the pot?
I don't know
Zelda's like
why. Too.
Zelda's a chain of weird menu dances.
Yeah, there is a lot of menuing in Zelda. I don't know what it is either. In Monster Hunter, I can hear like the little like cooking like music and see the cats dancing a million times and find it charming. But like the 10th time I hear it in Zelda, I'm like, okay, I've heard this 10 times. I don't need it anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know what the difference is.
Lacking in cats.
It's
It could be the cats.
whimsical magic in Monster Hunter. I don't know how they do it. They've got like magic crack in those games.
They do
They do have the Korok guy who does his little dance. And he gives you
Yes.
things. That's like the equivalent of that.
My favorite thing on the internet right now is people like crucifying Koroks. It is amazing.
What is with the hate for them? Can you guys explain the hate behind?
I don't hate them,
Oh,
but
know
I
the
still
hate.
enjoy their pain. I can't explain it.
It's just, yeah, it's just funny. Because they can't actually get
Maybe
hurt. It's not like
because-
they're killing them. They just
Yeah.
Okay.
can be crucified. I don't
I mean, maybe because of the first Breath of the Wild or whatever, you collect all of them and you get like a literal golden turd or something, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what happens when you finish? You just get like almost nothing for completing that whole quest. So yeah, they deserve it. Yeet him to the moon. Send him to space.
Which you can do, actually.
Grim Invictus says, who do you think would win a twerk off naked and covered in baby oil? Mylan or Paul? Good question.
Oh, that's not where I thought that was going. Okay.
All right, come on, get it out. Let's see. We'll throw on the nut bush.
It's not even a competition. It's not even a competition here. I've got, yeah, my dumpies. Then again, I'm not very good at twerking though. So if Paul's got the rhythm, then
Dumpies alone
I mean,
is enough to get you through, I'm sure. So
Not judging
can
on
see.
technique, purely on
mass.
yeah. Fricado says, if you were a fish in the Throne World pond, what would you be named?
Savathussi.
I've been called. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll probably be something like "Get out of my swamp" or something like that.
That's the green
My
one.
swamp.
Bruce?
Bruce.
I've like,
Yeah,
I think
Springfield?
that's a good name.
We didn't even talk about Ziva at Wrath, by the way. I just like.
Oh yeah, and
Oh
her
yeah.
lots of
screaming.
yelling.
Yeah.
I do sort of like that she just screams at you the whole time. That's like hilarious. It's like such a great way to use her character. But I am curious. I've always been curious about Zivu, whether I've not read any leaks or whatever. Like over the course of the next year, like we're gonna fight the Witness in the final shape. So like when we gotta get to Zivu one of these seasons, but then it's also kind of weird to fight a high god of war in a season, or I guess a dungeon theoretically, like that. I don't know. It seems like there's been bigger build up for her, but there's not time to like make her the expansion boss. I don't know. I'm curious.
I think they could do it this season just prior to final shape, maybe, and do it justice. That's probably the only way I can see it happening.
Yeah.
Rex said, "Do you ever think in your lives that in 2024, assuming that's when it launches, you'll say, 'Sorry, I can't. I'm playing Marathon tonight. P.S. I'm hyped to play it. Been trying to get into extraction shooters, and this will probably be it for me. Flip it not.'" First of all, do you guys think 2024 is accurate?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
would
so.
Expect earliest
You might get an alpha in 2024.
2025 would be the earliest, and even then, I'm like, no, there's no way.
They did say like whenever that was that they would have a new non-Destiny game. It was either out by 2025 or in 2025.
Okay.
Either
Yeah,
way,
they did say that.
I don't think it'll be anything more than like an alpha before 2025. Probably a closed alpha.
Yeah, so they're doing a lot of marketing, which I think is a little confusing because it makes you think that we're pretty close to it. But then they've been very like, we're gonna go away for a long time. You're not gonna hear from us for a long time.
I think they were just tired of saying redacted and just no one being able to say what they were, because it was like 40% of like the people I follow from Bungie on Twitter
Yeah.
were working on this essentially, and all of them have changed redacted to Marathon. Like I know they are working on other incubator projects too, but like this is the big one. This is Matter. This is what Chris Barrett's been working on forever. Like this was the
Yeah.
big one. So like even if it is far away, like I do understand them wanting to announce it now. I'm a little surprised with all this like ARG stuff and all the
Same.
that they're going this crazy with it, but
Yeah.
it is I do get why they would want to announce it even this early.
Lil Dick says, do you guys think that Bungie working on Marathon will hinder any possibility of Destiny 2 getting any good overhauls, or is Destiny 2 blueprints set in stone already?
They can't
think-
bank on Marathon being such a massive hit. Like
Yeah.
hopefully it
No.
is, but like I feel like everyone has to understand that Destiny is still an enormous hit and it
Yeah, it's a
continues to
huge
be.
cash cow.
Like it is why, you know, Sony paid 3.6 billion for Bungie. Like the bulk of that is because they were able to deliver this franchise for this long. And like I do think things may start to kind of creak and stagnate even more than they are now as we get toward what 8, 9, 10 years of just Destiny 2. And I think there will have to be a refresh at some point in a couple of years, but I don't think it's this idea that they're just going to throw everything in a marathon and like Destiny's like winding down. Like that's not happening. Like Destiny is going to be their main thing indefinitely, probably. And they'll have other projects, and marathon will be, you know, a lot of their focus. But you got to stick with a good thing as much as you can.
You never know.
That-
Marathon
being
can come
said,
out
though-
being it's it's kind of a hot genre right now, but like it could come out in 2 years and that genre is just dead. Everybody else is playing the next big thing, and it doesn't really land.
It reminds me of Valorant a little bit, where you know Riot is League of Legends, biggest game ever, blah blah blah, and then they wanted to do something else, and so they wanted to do Counter-Strike, and they made Valorant, and it's you know a lot of people like it, but has it replaced League of Legends? Is it bigger than League of Legends? No, like not really even close. So it could be something in that vein where it's something they develop, they continue to support it, but like also I think it would take like far less resources to manage a PvP only game in this genre compared to the monstrosity that is the live service life of Destiny. Because like
Yeah.
no one else can even do what Destiny's doing. Like maybe Final Fantasy 14, Genshin Impact. Like there's a tiny handful of games that are doing anything kind of approaching this kind of content delivery model. So
That's actually what kind of scared me when I heard them talking about players changing the narrative from season to season and changing the way that the game tells its story season to season. Because I was like, that sounds like a nightmare for development that you're kind of escaping and then you're jumping back into. But if it's just like the thing that they're doing where
Yeah.
it's like, a player discovers something and it opens another room or another building, like that's totally fine. But if it's changing the narrative on a season to season basis based on what players do is kind of crazy.
I would be amazed if it was like that level of involved. Like yeah, I think that would
It
be a
shouldn't
nightmare.
be.
So
Yeah.
and like I know this game will have narrative, but like I still think it's gonna have like PvP narrative. Like not
Yeah.
I really don't think that's going to be a major focus is kind of storytelling, but
And everyone, you gotta
I
keep in mind that the reason Marathon can be made is because Destiny makes a lot of money. They're not just gonna abandon Destiny.
yeah, I agree with all
No.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, couldn't hear for a sec
Oh.
there. I agree with all that. But I also think that I don't think Destiny's going to drastically change or like get more
Right.
content or be better. Like I think it's, even though they said they're going to change they said they're going to change the seasonal sort of formula. Is that meant to be this season, changing the seasonal formula, or like the next season?
they did a little bit. I mean, they totally kind of killed the vendor concept, which is good. They killed the power grinds, which is also like they've
Yeah.
really reduced a lot of the most severe, even crafting they reduced because you can now like deep sight activate. So they've reduced a lot of the grinds. It's the same in terms of like there's like 1.5 seasonal activities and weekly story beats. Like that part's the
Yeah.
same, but I
Yeah.
do think they've changed some pretty core fundamentals about how seasons work and how
I don't
grindy
think-
they are.
I don't think like Destiny's going to change away from that PvE formula.
No.
And obviously PvP's just been stagnant, and I think we already spoke about that.
Yeah.
Going to a PvP focused new IP it's hard to deny that it would have hurt Destiny when they've recruited from that pool of developers that were working on Destiny.
Mhm.
They got to staff it up more. Just hire like a bazillion people to make maps. Like I know there's a lot of things PvP needs, but like one new map like every year and a half, like I think that is the biggest stagnation. And throw some Gambit maps in there while you're at it. But
Yeah.
I want new Gambit maps.
They could just
I
give
want
us the
new
one they
Gambit
took away. That'd be pretty cool.
Also, yeah, that would be great too. I would take that as a compromise.
Ace Dog 00 says, I just realized I don't have any Destiny t-shirts. What cool new ones do you guys have? Anybody got any cool Destiny t-shirts?
You can now buy a limited edition marathon shirt for like $80
Yeah,
with its
I couldn't
own
get that.
serial number and stuff.
Hmm.
I haven't gotten any ones recently.
I haven't gotten any
I
since the
I
pandemic,
stopped buying
honestly.
the ones that like you unlock codes for. But
I think I just got a Lightfall one, but my all-time favorite Destiny shirt is Rise of Iron one with pixel art of Saladin on it.
I have that one too. Oh, I have the one that has all the Guardians, like the 3 Guardians across, and they're all pixel art.
Yeah, I got the other one. It's like Saladin with the wolves. He's got Saladin and
That's
he's
a
got
good
two
one,
like
yeah.
people. Yeah. Yeah.
I will say, not to be a complete shill, but the shirts that I've ordered from the Bungie store have been all extremely very high quality, like very nice
it's
shirts.
really good.
Mine have lasted forever.
Yeah,
Yep.
like as far as
Mhm.
t-shirts go, these guys are killing it.
Yeah.
Mets21 says, how did dedicated servers or none of this matters make your PvP hearts feel?
I have heard a few people hearing that comment and being a little miffed about it, right? Because they're saying what does PvP even matter if you don't have dedicated servers? Which that's not really what they're saying. They're essentially saying, what's the point of building a pure dedicated PvP game if you don't have dedicated servers, which Destiny has never been that. And I think maybe Destiny had the option of being like peer-to-peer for all of their PvE stuff, but having dedicated servers for PvP stuff, but they just didn't go down that road.
Yeah.
I 100% totally understand if anyone is feeling a little upset, a little disappointed that you have been playing Destiny PvP for almost 10 years and it's been just put on the back burner for this new game that you don't have any interest in. And I understand hearing those kind of things of, we've wanted dedicated servers for almost 10 years, and hearing that none of it matters in PvP if you don't get it. I understand people being upset about it.
It is kind of a weird situation though, isn't it? Like
It is.
I think there's reasons for both PvE people and PvP people to be upset. Because if you're PvP,
Yes.
it's everything you just said, and you wish that all that effort was also put into Destiny 2, which very obviously it has not been, and very obviously this game essentially stole a lot of the talent making Destiny 2 PvP stuff. But on my side, like I always knew this was coming. I knew all their incubator, almost all of them are PvP games in development, but like it is a little bit of a bummer to me that my entire relationship with Bungie since the Halo days has been a campaign and PvP, and I've really been able to, the Halo campaigns themselves are classic, and then Destiny's obviously like a huge PvE game, and like I knew there was not going to be something for me specifically in whatever new thing they announced, and like I'm not saying I'm not going to try Marathon or play Marathon, but it is very much separate from what I think a lot of current Destiny fans enjoy about Destiny. So on the PvE side, there's that. On the PvP side, there's people mad about the stuff they are getting. So it is a little of a bit of a tough situation for Bungie either way.
And you also have the marathon lovers who are like, well, I guess this means we're never getting a marathon single player game.
Marathon lovers are hardcore too.
I'm pretty sure I was like 9 when Marathon came out, so
not only were they like, a small dedicated community, but they were Mac gamers in the early 90s. That's
1994.
That's not a group of people that exists. People were not playing video games on a Mac. Like it is a subset of a very small group of people. But they are hardcore lovers of that game. I believe they released those games on Xbox Live during the 360 era, so people have played them recently. 20 years
I'm gonna
ago.
play
I
them
mean, by
recently. You can
recently.
download them for PC.
Are they
There's a
available on
link.
Yeah.
PC now?
Download 'em on.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got Marathon 2,
Um,
PvE campaign. Solve all the
I'm
problems.
going to ask for one thing because I know that a lot of people aren't interested in Marathon. That's completely fine, and especially a lot of my Destiny friends aren't interested. But I'm asking you for a favor to let me be your guide to the extraction crack, the addiction, because you just need one high and then you're in, and then you've been playing Tarkov for years and you've never had that same experience again. But you always think about it, and that is you go in. You take out a whole group of people, you get all their gear, you have some other story happen, you get taken out by AI or they harass you, you extract with 5 seconds left, you're like, okay, I get it. I'm in. And I just want to be that person that do an extraction mode with you.
Also,
Maybe that'll happen.
when I hear this, dedicated servers or none of this matters, it makes me think that Tefty is rolling in his grave right now.
He's not dead. He's not dead.
Says you. The person I suspect who killed him.
No, that's not me.
Hollow Point 503 says, not a question, just a comment. Paul Tassi must be stopped.
True.
Yeah. You tell him.
Yeah.
Got him. But Basil says, you got zapped by a wizard and turned into special species of fish of your choice. What are you?
You get turned into a fish?
Blowfish.
I don't
By
know,
a
piranha or
blowfish.
something.
Yeah. You eat, because if you get eaten, then you killed someone. So, although I guess you're dead,
Sure.
so that doesn't really help. Never mind.
I want to be a cute fish.
Like a
Where
clownfish?
people go, that's
Like Nemo.
cute.
Like a dory?
Dory's pretty cute. Yeah.
Mm.
Dory's pretty cute.
Point like
Dory?
all the fish.
Clownfish?
Maybe.
Yeah, I definitely
turtles.
want to be a fish
Yeah,
that
sharks and
doesn't
fishes,
get
right?
eaten. And I want to be a fast fish that could I want to be one of those flying fish that like sails over the water.
I feel like those
Jumps
like
out of the
land in
water.
boats and then
Ooh.
die that
Oh.
way. But
Gonna land in a boat, Brian.
More thought is required here.
is this real? Warlock Vesper Radius was just to save people.
But I did just see a tweet from Bungie Help saying
'cause
due
you
to an
could-
issue,
It's because you could Phoenix dive and activate it.
it can cause enemies to explode. Yep. It's been disabled until a fix can be implemented. So
So
you're probably
2-3
looking at
months.
a while without that one.
Yeah.
Gareth Evans says, is there a reason Bungie gave us nice looking ornaments right after they nerfed the specific piece of gear? Are they trolling us? Is this all just a game to them?
That's
it's
a
usually-
bit rough.
That's
know,
not how it works.
It's usually the other way around. Like League of
Yeah.
Legends, they bring out a new skin for a champion, they buff them like crazy, so everyone buys the new skin because the champion's really strong, and then they nerf it. So then you never use it.
I guarantee you, when the Starfire meta started like a couple seasons ago, they're like they put that ornament into the development, and then this is because you know how long it takes, like 6-9 months, whatever, to bring something from concept to release. But then the balance team, which is a totally separate team than the ornament design team,
Yeah.
realized that they have to nerf Starfire. What are they gonna do? Not release the ornament? So I think that was just bad timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Havarino says, how much fish could a fishing briar catch if a fishing briar could catch fish? I don't fish. I just don't enjoy it. It takes too long. It's too boring. The only joy I can find in fishing is fly fishing, like casting the thing, trying to perfect like the casting of the line, but I cannot stand fishing, real or fake. It's so boring.
Have
Just
you done
literally
any
standing
I
there.
thought you as a
Waiting for
Oh.
something to happen.
I thought you would be a fishing kind of dude.
No.
Yeah, you got
Just
your
look
boat.
like the fishing dude, I guess.
No.
You got your boat, you got your
See the
beer.
hat?
That's a
Yeah.
fisher. That's a fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on a boat, I'm moving, I'm paddling, I'm seeing new stuff, I'm doing stuff. Fishing is just like I'd rather just fall asleep.
You could put a net on your kayak and row around and see if you get any fish. That's kind of the type of fishing.
Also, fish are so like slimy and gross. Like I don't really have much. I don't really want to touch them or to interact with them in any way. I'd rather somebody else do that and serve me a delicious cooked one on my plate. That's how I feel about cows as well.
I mean, honestly, fishing, it's like Zen said, fishing is more about chilling in nature with a beer than actual fishing. Yeah.
Wait, so are
it's
you
like
saying you don't
baseball.
want to murder cows yourself? Is that the analogy here?
True enough, but enjoy
okay.
the hell out of eating them.
Is that a pastime people have, like fishing?
I don't know.
Cow murderers?
They
got to
tip
do
cows,
it. Somebody's got to do it.
which is a
They do tip cows, yeah.
type of torment.
One of the funniest things I've ever been seeing while I've been driving a car is I looked over to my right one time and I saw this dude full on sprinting through a field, jump up and drop kick a cow.
What
He
in the hell?
crumpled like an accordion. The cow did not move in any way. This dude hit this cow, full jump kick, like he thought he was fucking Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat, and just like crumpled into this thing like a Honda Civic hitting a Mack truck. And he just fell to the ground. I almost swerved off the road. I was laughing so fucking hard. The cow did not seem to react in any way whatsoever. Did not even realize what was going on.
The background.
I assume he was trying to cow tip.
Guess that's not the best tactic.
It's hilarious though. Joe Commendator says, if there were a new exotic fishing pole glaive that damaged and pulled enemies toward you, what would it be called?
Get over here.
A vortex grenade.
Yeah, called the Scorpion.
That would actually be kind of awesome if they could
Scorpion. Yeah.
I mean, they have strands which pulls you towards something, so maybe they could do the reverse for that. That would actually be kind of cool. I mean, there's probably more than one exotic this season, right? So who knows?
Zabe says, did anyone really think they would never bring Cayde back? Yeah, I didn't really think they'd bring Cayde back.
No, I didn't think they would.
No.
I didn't think they'd
Well,
actually.
Not only that, I didn't think Nathan Fillion would come back.
Yeah, that's really kind of
he
why
left
I
for a
always thought
reason,
that
but
happened.
I don't know. Maybe he was just busy during Forsaken, I guess.
True, and wasn't he still doing Castle when he left?
Yeah,
When that show got canceled.
So he's always doing something.
That's true. Is he still doing the Rookie? That show's still on?
I think that show's still on. I never watched it, but I think
There's too many
on.
cops. It makes me uncomfortable. Zabe, did anyone really think? I just heard that one. Bender7 says, "Are you also going to be a marathon podcast now? Episode 1 right now. Listening to it, bub."
I mean, we could make like a spin-off show where we talk about marathon if it ends up being a popular thing.
Or we all hate it and we never talk about it at all.
Extraction shooters. That seems like something you guys would do. Spin-off.
Yeah, we've done one or two.
I mean, you got to get out there. You got to be the world's biggest marathon podcast, and like, who's better suited to set that up than you guys? MCP, yeah.
My other co-host from Destiny Down Under, Log, which we haven't done an episode in a long time, was like, "Oh, we're doing marathons." I was like, "Bro, how about you sign a contract for 10 years? Because we'll get 5 years deep in marathon podcasting, you just give up again."
I mean, in all honesty, like if you like kind of like visualize what a marathon podcast would look like it would be hard to make content about that week after week, right?
Right. Unless they're doing like significant kind of story stuff often where there's things to talk about every week or even every other week, right? You're not going to be able to just talk about that. Unless they're doing balance patches all the time. You can talk about that. And you can talk about people when they find new stuff. If that's often, you find stuff and something was opened.
There'd probably be a significant amount of just like storytelling you could do just based off of like, this is what happened to me, like this week. Those games do kind of lend themselves to like.
Yeah, I'm thinking, is that like a Fortnite podcast or like an Apex podcast?
Are there? There must be. I'm
sure
there are.
It would mostly be technical. It would be about like gameplay. I don't think you could just like tell your fun stories for a whole podcast of like your runs. Like
a lot of Twitter questions. I feel like in this podcast,
it doesn't really translate to a podcast. I don't think.
Yeah, it does translate to good YouTube videos, but maybe not a podcast.
Yeah.
Just describing your best plays of the
Maybe it's
week.
just
Yeah.
something that you hear on this podcast sometimes, right? Where you're like, guys, I had this crazy run on marathon yesterday,
Yeah.
and then you can talk about, what happened. And guys, did you see that these dudes opened up this whole new part of the map? Isn't that cool?
That would be a good
Maybe it's a
development.
2.5-hour podcast.
Wait, so what happens if I really like Marathon and I stop playing Destiny? Do I have to go to the graveyard?
Have you seen Briar? He's still here. Although he was on
Alright.
his warlock.
Charles B.
You can
Davis
do our
says,
marathon segment, Mylan. You can go.
Yeah, this week in
It's
marathon."
Mylan's marathon
Let me
moment.
And I'll be that friend that always tells you about their video game adventures that you don't really care about. Be like, bro, it was so good. Just listen to how good it was.
Charles B. Davis says, you know the phrase "up my alley"? If your alley was an actual place you could magically visit anytime, where would you keep it and how would you access it?
It's definitely this is a butthole question. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
definitely. You know
Yeah.
how to access it. Don't even ask.
It starts with a home cooked meal and a lovely Friday night.
You gotta take me out to Froyo before you even get near my alley. Mets number 21 says, I'm having Sonic the Hedgehog flashbacks in shortness of breath every time I dive into a new mission. How are Watson Paul holding up?
Yeah, I initially was not great because I saw the bubbles and I was like, Jesus Christ, they picked the worst thing to do. And then I saw that, they send you in there and they get to show you what the cracking of the mask looks like and it goes all red. And I was like, this is
Oh.
terrifying. But then when I realized that nothing's going to eat me in there, at least not this week, maybe next week something will eat me or the week
Yeah,
after.
give it time.
True.
But
Yeah.
if I'm safe for a week, I'm safe for the whole week. Once I do the mission, I know I'm safe. So that's okay.
So I don't have. Is it Thalassophobia? Is that what it's called?
Thalassophobia. Yeah.
Thalassophobia. So like I don't have that, but I do have PTSD from Sonic the Hedgehog and that music that played when you were drowning. So
Yep.
that is what occurs to me when it's happening. But mostly I'm just bored because those bubbles are every 2 feet, and you can't really actually die unless you just go AFK. So yeah, I don't love it.
It was dicey there for a second when you right at the beginning where you had to jump on that platform and there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
mantle and it's a really tight jump. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm
I hear
doomed.
people getting stuck there. I'm like, you do have to, it's just the right angle you have to hit. But yeah, can't even mantle underwater, man. We lost
can't.
so much.
I was actually following Cal in chat around underwater looking for the ornaments to get for your little aquarium. And watching people walk around in the water is really funny. Because they're just like doing this little plotting. They're just like
Mhm.
boop, doop, doop, doop. It's really funny. So at least I get to laugh at people while we're walking slowly.
The Omega 222 says, okay, Spinfoil theory time for the gang. What if the Traveler has actually been a massive depository for all the species of the cosmos? So anything the Traveler has raised up, it actually used to make copies of for this utopia inside of it. Think Noah's Ark for everything.
What?
I don't know. That sounds okay. I mean, I
Sure.
get what they're saying. That's probably more interesting than like this is where Guardians go when they die, like Guardian Heaven. It would kind of be in keeping with the theme of like the Traveler is a life bringer and all that stuff, but I don't know. It doesn't sound terribly likely, but
No.
I'm not opposed to it.
The weird thing is the whole thing with Cayde seems much more like it would be a darkness thing than a light thing. Like the light's all about the physical and growth and terraforming, and the darkness is all about memory. And if you're thinking of an afterlife, it's probably more darkness focused than it is light focused in the Destiny universe. So
To be
it's
fair,
sort of-
the Traveler has raised a zombie army of murderers to work for it,
True.
so I'm not sure it's the most life-focused thing out there.
Light doesn't
but-
necessarily mean good. It just means
Yeah, that's
light.
the point they've been trying to make like for a long time now. Yeah.
Oh, the witness is actually a cute baby, not a.
Does look like
Oh,
a cute
there's like
baby
a-
in lot
there's
of
like
ways.
parent
It's like four
travelers?
babies in a trench coat.
There's a cute cat, cute kitty man.
Lone Wolf says, thoughts on the power level grind removal from the game and how do you see it affecting the player numbers long term? Personally love it, but I also see people saying there's nothing to grind for anymore and are seemingly unhappy about it. What do you mean there's nothing to grind for anymore? There's all sorts of shit. Like, look at...
Grind for the loot.
Fishing.
Yeah.
Grind for the fish. I don't miss the power grind.
Neither.
I found it
Yeah.
annoying, especially if like I wanted to like join my friends in like some activity that requires like a big grind right at the beginning of the season.
There's still even a little bit of a power grind because you're grinding artifact power because for some
Yeah.
stuff you might want that 15, 20, whatever power again. I just don't miss the like, oh no, I need an 1810 helmet and my last 5
Yeah.
things have been energy. What like
Yeah.
nobody likes that anymore. We know they're revamping the power system at some point later in the year, if not for the final shape. But I think this is the interim before that because like why are we going to make them keep doing the power grind if we're going to revamp the whole system anyway in like 2 or 3 seasons? So
Yeah. And I honestly think that the fishing might have been like a bit of an experiment to add in a midi game. Like, hey, give us something to grind as well. Like, no power grinds. Give them something here. And then, like, hey, because we know that Bungie was like really nervous about removing power level altogether. Like, they've already mentioned that in a previous interview, saying that this really scares them. It scares them more than crafting because they sort of have nightmares about everyone just leaving because you get rid of it. But I think after this season, they'll see, hey, people stick around. They grind red borders, they grind fishing, they grind for the roles. They're still playing the game. We have more people doing GMs. We have more people doing lost sectors because they're at the right level. Like,
I think there's a difference between no power grind and a bad power grind. Like I don't know if I fully love the idea of removing power and then like all of these difficulties capped at like -15, -20, -20, and like you just never feel more powerful than that. I'm not like totally in love with that idea because I do like the idea of kind of over leveling for stuff. I just don't like doing it with the gear slot system and the RNG that goes behind that and infusing like everything you take out of your vault to use. Like I don't like the gear infusion drop system. I'm okay with like some sort of power level, some sort of over leveling process, but it's got to be different than this. And I think one is coming that is different than this. I don't know what it is, but I'm not saying like I don't think everything should be a set difficulty and there's no power grind ever again.
I kind of like the set difficulty because I feel like that's what Bungie does well, and that's what Bungie did with Halos. They could curate experiences a bit better, but I hear the other side for sure.
Buko16 says, the cynic in me thinks that Cayde reveal is just a red herring and that it's just a dream sequence involving Ikora. Do you think he's back in a substantive fashion, or is this just to build hype? I mean, it's definitely got something with to deal with Ikora, right? Like, I don't think he's.
I don't
just
think it's
gonna
like a
be back.
one-off cutscene.
I don't think
he's
it's
like
a dream.
a character in the expansion. I don't think like a dream, no, but like a throne world, other dimension, time travel, like something like that. But
Yeah.
no, he's not gonna like show up in the tower and be the Hunter Vanguard and with
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
death statue sitting there by the tree.
I saw
Like-
someone say Cayde's gonna be the vendor for Final Shape, and I was like, no, he's not.
That would be so sad.
I would just stick him in a corner where you go get your engrams from.
Him
You
and
can say the
Nimbus.
same lines over and over again.
Yeah.
Josh says, if your guardian had a sea creature companion for underwater adventures, what kind of friend would they have? Octopus. Definitely octopus.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Stingray.
They're
Dolphin.
smart. They regenerate. They can carry you. Or you
Carry
can just,
all
like,
sorts of stuff. Very handy.
carry. Yeah,
Figure out puzzles. Have you ever seen that video where
definitely. Yeah. They can
Dude, I
figure out all
suck
the
at
puzzles for
puzzles.
me.
Yeah.
I suck at puzzles. I can't do that.
You can't pick a stingray, mate. Come on, they killed Steve Irwin. We still don't like
Yeah.
stingrays.
Right? Too soon, man. Too soon.
Too soon, Paul.
Sorry to be offensive to Australia.
Okay, you know what? You get a shark now. That's your pet.
Sharks never kill anyone, so that's
Yeah, that should be safe.
no one famous.
Blaney McBlanderson says, which of the following true facts about the duckbill platypus seems the least truthy?
Okay.
So
These are all true
to
facts.
clarify, all of these are true facts, but which one seems
Platypus.
like it
That
can't
was like
possibly
two truths and a lie.
be the
Platypus.
truth?
3 truths and just truth.
Okay.
Number one, despite being mammals, they hatch out of
Lays eggs.
eggs.
Yeah,
Two.
that one I knew.
They are one of the only species of venomous mammals. And 3, they have no stomach.
I want to be a venomous mammal.
I didn't know
Okay, I
those
didn't
last
know
two.
any of it. I didn't
Yeah.
know the 2 and
I knew the egg
3.
one.
Yeah, I didn't
They're a
know that.
venomous mammal? What's venomous?
All right, well maybe I want a platypus companion now.
Mm.
Although they're mammals, so I guess that's not a fish companion.
And
It
no
Sounds like it
stomach?
could swim though. I mean, it's got duck right in the name.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
in the
they're
water.
like little. They look like a beaver almost with like a duck bill.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do like beavers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stomach one does sound pretty crazy.
So it's
Yeah.
not
Is
like
it
you just
claws?
eat food and immediately shit? Is that like how it works?
Goes right through you.
Without any digestion, so it just comes out the exact same thing it was when it went in.
I kind of need to look up these facts now because I did not know this.
Violent googling the anatomy of a platypus.
So the
platypus is
the venom is made in venom glands that are connected to the hollow spurs on their hind legs.
Oh,
All on the legs?
Yeah.
What do they-
interesting.
What do they kick with their venom spurs? Fish?
They're so cute. Why? What are they doing? Why are they so angry?
Sounds like a Pokemon.
They kind of look like Pokemon.
Oh
You want
yeah.
to know?
Wait, there is
It's
a Pokemon.
Psyduck, right?
I'm sure there's a platypus Pokemon. There's an
Is
everything.
Is it
Pokemon.
Psyduck? Is Psyduck
Don't know.
a platypus Pokemon?
No, that's just a
No,
regular
it's a
duck.
duck.
He's got hands.
Mm.
That's just a regular duck. He's got hands.
As we know, all ducks have hands.
Duh.
Because you know, all ducks have hands. No, wasn't there a starter Pokemon that was a water type that was the literal platypus? Am I
Was it
thinking
the
of
Sand
fan-made stuff?
While you look for that, I will tell you what
Okay.
platypus venom does to a human.
Okay.
It
It gets you
disrupts
high.
blood regulation, cell membranes, and pain regulation to cause nausea, swelling, and excruciating whole body pain that lasts for weeks in humans and cannot be alleviated by morphine.
Jesus
Ooh.
Christ.
What?
Right, well,
They're so cute.
I know they're really cute.
All right. Stay away from platypus pie.
Just,
Platypi?
just
Platypuses?
only give them the head scritches. Don't go near the weird little fin things. The weird little fin things will take you out.
All right. Understood.
Google says Psyduck is a platypus. No, get the hell out of here. They can't be true.
Yeah, it's Pokemon.
Kessler23632 says, has anyone else noticed that Sweet Business occasionally cannot damage threshers? Not sure what causes this, but in public event on Yamuna, Sweet Business was tearing through other enemies, but doing no damage to threshers. Otherwise, love the podcast, guys.
Threshers are just
I hate
immortal pro gamers.
They don't one-shot you anymore, but they're still beefy as shit.
Oh, I'm thinking of Temtem. There was a Temtem's like Pokemon ripoff, whatever.
yeah.
Platypet was like a fan designed Pokemon, looks like a platypus, but it's like basically in Temtem. That's what I'm thinking about.
So not Psyduck.
No, I think Psyduck is actually a platypus that came up.
Yeah,
too.
I know. I looked
think-
it up.
Well, here's another really quick platypus fact. They glow under black light.
Oh,
So
really?
their fur is fluorescent with greenish blue tint if you put a black light on them.
Oh, they're like those like Elvis posters.
Were these things created in like a nuclear spill or something?
They are very
Really
odd,
weird
aren't they?
Things.
Yeah, they are weird. Clayton Kisko says the movie Meg 2 is coming out soon. What are your thoughts about Meg 1 and why is it your favorite movie of all time? Not my
haven't
favorite
seen
movie of all
Megan
time,
1.
but it is pretty fun. It's a good
I
watch.
haven't seen it. I do want
I
to
haven't
watch
seen
it.
either.
Yeah, it's good. It's
It
fun.
Watch the trailer. I feel like that's saying it.
No, there's
You get
more.
the
There's
idea.
more. The Meg is a pretty fun movie. It's not
I heard
deep.
it was actually like okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun popcorn flick. There's some good action scenes. There's some good comedy. It's just fun. I am looking forward to the Meg 2. Me and the wife saw the Meg 2
Eats
trailer a couple
dinosaur,
weeks ago.
right?
We were
I saw
pretty
that in the
excited.
trailer.
No, it's like a huge shark. It's like a megalodon, a giant shark.
Right, yeah. No, but like in Meg 2, I saw him he eats a dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
So,
It's a dinosaur flick, really.
Jurassic Park 4, 5. Wait, what are they on? Jurassic Park?
They
It's not
gotta be
giving
up
them
there. I don't
numbers.
know.
No, they're just colon phrases.
Mr. Goodbye says, do you think the final Shapes Cayde storyline reveal is due to the tragic loss of Lance Reddick, or has it been in plan for a long time?
No.
Too soon. It
No.
couldn't have been
No.
this fast, I don't think,
No
There
way.
to be a
is no
reaction to
way.
Lance Reddick's death.
I gotta
They-
say,
no,
I
they wouldn't do that.
I appreciate how they think that Bungie developers are some kind of magicians, which is honestly a bit of a compliment. Because
Yeah,
putting
good
that
point.
together is
That would have been fast.
that is very fast.
The Mohegan 9 says, do you watch TV or movies with subtitles? Yeah, when my wife's in the room. My wife is a movie talker. She loves to ask obvious questions. She loves to ask questions you couldn't possibly know the answer to because you haven't seen the whole
Why
movie
is this
yet.
the thing? Why is this the thing wives do? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I
I don't know. Also, for some
I
reason,
don't get it.
when she's in the room, I have to turn the movie twice as loud as I had it before she entered the room. I don't understand why that is. She's not doing anything like in the chair like that is loud, other than asking constant questions.
I gotta say about the volume thing. When I'm watching something, usually if it's like a TV show or a movie, the audio mixing is not the greatest. I'm gonna
Yeah,
miss the
that's
like
true.
quiet moments if it's not super loud, and I don't want to be adjusting it the whole time.
Okay.
But that's why I have subtitles on because
Yeah.
of the audio thing. Like I don't turn it up loud, well, because there's a baby here. But I that's literally why I started using subtitles is because I just kept
Yeah.
missing stuff. So
I
now
do like
it's like
subtitles.
weird to watch something without subtitles.
Yeah, I
I
can't
get
hear
distracted.
anything
I
without
start just reading the subtitles instead of watching the people on the screen, though.
Yeah,
You gotta read
I find myself
fast,
doing
right?
that
You gotta
too,
glance down and go, "Boop! I'm already done.
but
I'm
then
already
when
done."
I'm off, I feel like I can't hear, even though it's like totally psychological. But
Hugo Rune says, ChatGPT does Hugo's ridiculous questions. Imagine a world where gravity was reversed for one day each year. How would you prepare for the upside down day? And what activities would you engage in?
I'm
I mean, I
definitely
would
not
go
going
to a
outside.
cave.
I'm not
probably
going
the best
outside.
plan, honestly.
Gravity's
that would be very
reversed.
dangerous.
Yeah.
You'd fly off the earth.
Glue everything to your ceiling so everything didn't break, or
Good
like
point,
nail
good
everything
point.
down.
Oh,
I
this
guess, on
sounds
the floor.
annoying. I don't want this. This sounds really annoying.
No, this is
You'd have
not
to
a good
build
thing.
everything. You'd have to build everything and do everything in mind of the one anti-gravity day.
Right.
Also,
You
do you get a
can't-
warning, or will you just like fly up into the ceiling?
Oh, is it like a
Is
random
is there
day?
like a purge siren that sounds when it's about to?
Like,
Flip
shit, no, my
gravity.
car's outside. Ah, fudge. I just
What
want
are you
it.
gonna do with your car? I feel like that's gonna go,
Garage.
gone no matter what you do.
Garage
Your
and
cars
fight
would
the
have to get
repair
built with
costs.
wheels on the top and the bottom.
No, I
Mm.
don't think that would do anything.
Because it hit the garage ceiling, it wouldn't damage the roof. It would just land on its top wheels.
It's even like outside, if it's like then it could drive.
Oh
on
no,
roads
then it's just
upside
gonna
down,
fly
but
away.
that's not- Yeah, exactly.
Maybe if you had hooks,
Everything
you have to have
outside would just
grappling hooks
fly
for all
away.
your stuff. They just
Oh,
grapple
yeah.
hook it to the ground.
I'm just staying in bed. I'm gonna be
Ma-
on the ceiling.
No, you're not gonna
Like,
stay in
yeah,
bed.
no,
You're gonna
just
fly right out of the bed.
Yeah, you have a bed. You have a bed on the floor, and then you have an identical bed on the ceiling. Just for
Oh,
this
just
day,
bounce
and then
between
you just go, you flip into it, and then you just stay there all day.
And you're like, yeah, I'm not moving.
That's actually kind of the best idea.
It might be a
I do
good
see
time to,
some
like, I don't know,
myself.
paint your roofs again or something. Like paint your ceilings again. Like you could just
Mm.
walk on your roof and just give it a bit of a paint while you're up there.
It's true. You'd have to build your ceiling a lot more sturdy, right? Because like most people's ceilings can't support any weight.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just
true. You have to
drywall.
walk on the beams. Punch through your ceiling into outer space.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It'd be really. You really have to change up a lot of stuff. You build with lightness in mind. I think a lot more.
Yep. Kind of sucks.
Last question of the night, and then we're gonna take off for the week. Mohegan 9 says, "Do you use your phone flashlight to turn on a light when you get up at night?"
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Yes.
I have enough ambient lighting, like from clocks and stuff. I don't know. I don't need to.
Our bed has a feature when you get out of bed. There's like a light underneath it that kind of illuminates the floor, so that you can
What?
like
Your
walk
bed.
to the
That
bathroom.
is
Yeah,
some
the bed
high
does
tech
that.
shit.
It is a high tech.
It's a
bed.
high-tech
really
bed.
nice. It's one of
Year
those,
3000 bed.
what the heck is it called? It's like it's
Bed light.
sleep number bed.
Oh, yeah, that is a fancy bed. Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do use my phone flashlight all the time, but anytime I need like actual light, like in the darkness, I prefer headlamps. Headlamps are just so useful.
Do you have a headlamp just like hanging out in every room? You're like, oh,
You would
my
be
bathroom
surprised. They're
headlamp?
all over the house. There's probably, I would guess, no less than 6 to 7 headlamps in this house, easily accessible right now. I just bought one today at REI. They're
You a
having like a
miner?
25% off sale. That's it. Once
we
again,
did it.
all of your Destiny and Marathon questions have been resolved. You're welcome.
MCP.
Yep, sure did. Tomorrow, join me, Mylan, and Lego on stream. We're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be doing the DCP dungeon. Checking
Mm-hmm.
out the new dungeon. We're gonna be nut bushing the whole
Oh,
way.
yes.
Yeah.
Nutbush all over the place. Nutbush deep.
Yeah, we're gonna be deep nut bushing.
Deep
Very
bushing.
excited.
Thank you, Paul, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Good
Thank you
time.
all for listening or watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.